All right. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to college football week 6. We got a big slate ahead of games. Not as much high marquee matchups as you might think, but we do have some games on the line. One big one at the end we'll talk about. But we just want to thank some of our sponsors, BetUS, MyBookie AG. You can use that QR code right up here in the upper corner. To bet and MyBookie AG. We also have MLB Shop and NFL Shop as well. Let's get this thing started off with our noon kickoff here, Jimmy. Iowa State at Cincinnati, -1.5 for Cincinnati, over under 54. Both of the offenses in this game are extremely efficient. The Cyclones, though, are missing two of their top corners for the season. So these young guys are going to have to step up against that Bearcat offense. I love the scoring over here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree with you. The over's a really good play in this one. This is two top the Big 12 quarterbacks. Rocco Beck's been having a really good season. Sorsby on the Cincinnati side's been going crazy. I think he's currently like leading the Big 12 in yards and touchdowns currently, which is wild. Cincinnati's coming off a big win over Kansas last week, and they're defending their home turf here. I like the Cincinnati play. I lean more towards Cincinnati, but like you said, the safe play, in my opinion, is the over. A lot of points, a lot of action. Fun, exciting quarterback matchup here too. Both of these teams undefeated in the Big 12. I'm still so playoff implications. I feel like the Big 12 is only going to get one team through. So I mean, this is a big matchup. And like you said earlier, the games this week they're not like high powered, but this is what I call like a minefield week because some teams are going to get tripped up, and it's like a sneaky week in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like like we talked about at the outset. There's not a lot of high profile, but there's a lot of impactful games this week. And one of those impactful games is in the Big Ten. Washington at 3:30, -6.5 at Maryland. Maryland plays some defense pretty well, but the offense is led by that Malik Washington. He's exhibiting a lot of poise with these games. Maryland is, however, 0-9 after bye weeks under Mike Locksley.
Interesting stat. Like you said, coming in off a bye week after Washington came into the shoe and got beat up pretty bad. Or no, Ohio State went to them, right? I think Ohio
Yeah.
State went to them. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So they're coming off of kind of like a heartbreak, like because they were in that game, but then they weren't. They never really were truly in that game. So Maryland's got the blueprint on how to beat them, contain Damon Williams. Um, a really good quarterback matchup. Like I like both of these quarterbacks. I think both of them have a lot of future talent, and I feel like both of these are definitely NFL prospects. I lean towards the points here with Maryland just because they are also undefeated at home. Even though that Mike Locksley stat 0-9 after bye week, that's a little sneaky. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was something that I was like, man, I know they were just on a bye and they had that big loss to Ohio State. And I know it's not been real successful down there in Maryland. The Terrapins have been struggling, and whether they were in the ACC or the Big Ten, they've been a team that's kind of been in the middle of the pack at points, kind of at the bottom. So, it was something I wanted to make sure we touched on.
Yeah. I feel like I like the spread on this one. I don't know if what I think Washington could win, but I think it'll be close. So Maryland will keep it within the number. Um, but yeah, all around good quarterback battle. Good game to just like see some future prospects in the NFL. I think both of these guys are NFL talent.
Yeah. Speaking of NFL talent, a team that's put out a lot of NFL talent these recent years is Alabama. They are a 12.5-point favorite over Vanderbilt. As we know, this is probably one of the marquee matchups in the SEC. Alabama looks to continue its domination over a win over the Dogs last week. But remember, last year, Vanderbilt came in. The Commodores took the victory right out from underneath the Alabama Crimson Tide. But I think this might weigh on the Tide's mind. They don't forget that stuff. And I think like they're going to probably have a big game against Vanderbilt this week.
Yeah, I agree with you, but this is like storytelling to its finest because last year Alabama comes off a big win over Georgia, and then they go into Vanderbilt sleepwalking, and Diego Pavia pops off, and Vandy upsets Alabama and the story of Vanderbilt goes crazy. This time, Vanderbilt's coming into Tuscaloosa, a hostile environment. One of my favorite things to do last year was bet on Vandy just because I believe in Diego Pavia and they were always like huge dogs. But this time, it's a hard look. I feel like Bama kind of comes out and squashes the beef here. I feel like if Kalen DeVore wants to keep his job and keep going, rolling with the SEC and be in that SEC picture, I feel like he has to beat Vandy in emphatic fashion. Although, I mean,
Yeah, I
Diego
agree with you.
Pavia points.
I feel like yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like there's a there's a want for Alabama to really prove that it wasn't a fluke that they beat Georgia.
Hmm.
But I also feel like Vandy is now fighting for SEC, competition where they feel like they're validated in this conference that has been dominated by the Alabamas, the Floridas, the Georgias, and now with the addition of Texas. So it's really going to be something to see here. I really feel like a lot of people should tune into this game. Um, Another SEC showdown is in the swamp. The uh, the Gators are taking on Texas, number 9 ranked Texas Longhorns. Arch Manning, feasting off of those, also ran teams and teams that have had lesser competition, in their schedule. And now Florida on the other side, they need a win real bad if they want their head coach to stay and keep his job.
Yeah, I don't know if Florida fans really want Billy Napier to stay, to be honest with you. But this is a big game matchup. I feel like this is the toughest defense Arch has faced since Ohio State. Ohio State might be the best defense in the country. I think they are currently. But I mean, Florida's D line's banged up, and even as long as Arch plays fundamental football, they should be able to win this game because Texas's defense is a pretty elite unit themselves in their own right, and the Florida offense hasn't been anything too spectacular. Coming up with 5 interceptions against LSU 2 weeks ago, they're not nothing crazy to look at. DJ Lagway, I feel like he just needs a new coach. I feel like he still has like the kid still has talent. It's just like the play calling there, but with Billy Napier, it's just not going his way this year.
Yeah, I don't believe in DJ Lagway at all, to be honest with you. I don't
You're
feel like
out on
he's
him.
impressive. He's impressive at all. I feel like, this might be a battle of struggling quarterbacks
Hmm.
with these two defenses playing against each other, against their quarterbacks here. So before we move to the 7 o'clock kicks, just a reminder, you can get all your needs for NFL's shop up here in the using the QR code right over here. NFL Shop's a great place. I've gotten a lot of merch from them. So make sure you stop by NFLshop.com. 7 o'clock kick is 11 ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders net minus 11.5 at the Houston Cougars. The all-time matchup is pretty even, Jimmy.
Hmm.
18, 16, and 1 in favor of Houston. Can the Cougars slow down this Red Raiders offense? And Texas Tech may struggle in the beginning, but I think they run away with it.
See, with the transitive property here, I think Texas Tech is better than Utah, or not Texas Tech or Utah is better than Houston, and Texas Tech thumped Houston or thumped Utah. Sorry, it's early. Um,
Right.
but here's my thing
That's all
though.
right.
Uh, Morton was hurt. Uh, he had a neck injury again. He got a neck injury in that Utah game. Granted, he did have a bye week to recover. I just worry that how he'll play. I know Texas Tech's defense is their strongest unit. All got through the transfer portal. Great coaching done there. I just feel like this number is kind of large. As long as Connor Wegman can keep the Cougars in it, like offensive wise, like as long as he doesn't have silly mistakes, which he's prone to do. He did last year with in that Notre Dame game opening. I remember
Yeah.
it so vividly. But he's been doing all right so far this year. Uh, I lean more towards the points, but I could be wrong. This is definitely a buy low spot for Houston. Just because I don't know, I'm just buying Houston just because I don't think Morton is completely healthy. Although I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I too like the over. I think that there's not a lot of proven commodity on either side of the ball for these teams. And typically, it's always a shootout with the Red Raiders. I don't know if I could get behind Houston though, because I feel like Houston is kind of wishy-washy as well. But if the Red Raiders want to claim a spot in the playoffs, they're going to have to win these games. And the next game up is Mississippi State at Texas A&M. SEC showdown. Texas A&M minus 15.5 favorite here. College Station and field and the field is home of the 12th man in college football. It's a tough environment to play in. Tonight is a blackout night at the Aggies as well. The Aggies have an extremely good defense this season, but the execution has not always looked great in all three phases.
Yeah, this is a tale of two teams, honestly. So far this year, Mississippi State is 5-0 against the spread. I think they continue that. I think 15.5 is way too many points. A&M's offense is really good. Le'Veon Moss is having a stellar season at the wide receiver position. Marcel Reed's doing his thing at quarterback. I just don't believe in this A&M defense. Fluff Bothwell on the Mississippi State side, the running back, he's having a crazy good year. He's underrated. He's a solid running back. I feel like he's a guy to look out for. Um, Even Blake Shapen himself is playing really good ball. And I like this Mississippi State secondary to contain Le'Veon Moss and the Texas A&M offense. I feel like this is a really good offense and against a really good defense. And I'm just taking the numbers here.
Yeah. Somebody asked in the comments here, what do we think about BYU possibly making the playoff this season?
I mean, the Big 12 is just so up in the air, you know? It's everyone fighting for that one spot. I think Texas Tech is currently leading the charge in that. But I mean, it's definitely possible. They still got a couple key matchups coming up later down in the pipeline. So I feel like the Big 12 will figure itself out by like week 9, week 10. But there's still a lot of football left to be played. They're definitely a team to look out for.
Yeah, and Breezy likes the D line against Florida today for Texas. Yeah. He thinks they're gonna have a sack lunch every other game, every other snap or something like that. So shout out to Breezy. Also shout out to the sponsors again, MyBookie AG, BetUS, MLB Shop, and NFL Shop. Let's move on to the 10:30 kick. You've highlighted here. Duke minus 2.5 at Cal Berkeley. Duke has a balanced offense. The Bears have a stout defense. A true test of both sides. The wild card for me here is your man, Jerron Tiawe Sagapulete. JKS. I'm going with JKS from now on. I'm going with JKS. He could continue on his trajectory here. In a couple of years, we might be hearing his name called on a Thursday night in the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm. That is my guy, as you said. I love this quarterback. I think he's a lefty who slings it. He's not afraid to let it fly. He also has a really good slot receiver in DeJesus. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly.
DeJesus, yeah.
All right, so and like Duke's secondary, like they have one good like main corner, but their slot corner is not the greatest. So this will be a good matchup to see to test the Duke defense. Mensa himself is from California, so this is kind of a homecoming for him.
Yeah.
2.5. I don't know. I lean towards Duke, but my heart wants to pick California just because I like JKS. So.
I'm with you, Jimmy. I am absolutely with you. I am taking California with the 2.5 points. I really think that California has a shot to win it straight up, to be honest. It's that close of a game. And Duke's getting 3.5, which means they're a 5.5 point favorite by bookie standards because the home team usually gives 3 points. Mm-hmm. So it's a really close, tight matchup here, and I like California. Another game we've had highlighted: your Wahoos at Louisville, coming off a fresh upset of the Florida State Seminoles, which I love. But Jimmy, I gotta warn you, man. This is that
Yeah,
letdown game, right? Virginia's
this
obviously a
is.
better team, better program right now than Louisville. But this lends itself to the underdog victory here.
Yeah, they had them like Louisville's -7.5 at home against a ranked team, so they're coming in with the juice. Miller Moss himself, the USC transfer, is having a pretty good season himself. Uh, See, I go back and forth on this game because Louisville had a fluke victory over Pitt. I think that special teams error, it was just so bad. I'll never pick Pitt to win a game again. I had so much faith in Eli Holstein, and he just crapped his pants. But listen, this Louisville team is a good team. But if you're giving me Virginia with 7.5, I'm taking Virginia every time, bro. It's just ride or die, man. My NFL team isn't good, but at least my college team gives me hope. So keep giving me hope, baby. Come on, Chandler Morris,
All right.
Trail
And no
Harris.
bias in that bet, right, Jimmy? None at
Oh,
all.
absolutely none at all. This is all logical.
Right. Just a reminder, guys, MLB Shop, one of our sponsors. You can get that shop up here in the upper corner. Just use that QR code, go on MLB Shop. Speaking of MLB, I don't know if you know it, Jimmy, but I'm a huge Dodgers fan. Love the Dodgers. I think that they're going to repeat this year. Everybody, kind of, is looking at them as a lesser contender, and I don't understand why they have the best players on the planet on one team. That being
No,
said,
that is facts.
that being said, we're going to go to our big spreads of the week. So we mentioned this team earlier in the segment here. Noon kickoff, the Kentucky Wildcats. And this is not John Calipari's Wildcats, right?
This is Mark Stoops.
This is Stoops, right? At Kirby Smart. Georgia 12th ranked -20.5. Georgia coming off a loss, Jimmy. Since after Kirby Smart's first year, 10-1.
Yeah, and this Kentucky team is just not very good. They're going to get their frustrations out. I think they clear this number pretty easily, to be honest. And I don't know. It's a bad spot for Kentucky. You got to travel into Athens, into this hostile environment where Kirby Smart's teed off that he lost to Alabama. He's gonna flex his muscle. This is a spot where Kentucky last year was able to upset Georgia, but I just don't see that happening. I feel like 20.5 is generous, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that Georgia's going to sink its teeth into some Wildcat meat and just toss them around as if they were not even there. Much like the Overbrook Rams did last night when they beat Clayton in a high school football game in New Jersey. They beat them 38-14. So shout out to our Russian attack who had over 340 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. Now, getting back to college football. 3:30 kick, big spreads we're talking about here. Number 7, Penn State, coming off the loss at UCLA. They come off the loss against Oregon. They're looking to get back into their winning ways here. I just don't think that UCLA is going to be able to get out in front and keep up with the Penn State offense.
Yeah, this is just UCLA is one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. This is just a UCLA fade spot. Um, yeah, Penn State showed a lot of heart in that Oregon game and that Oregon comeback. I don't know. I think they'll still make the playoff just because their schedule's kind of easy-ish. So, but this UCLA team is just dog, man. They're just bad, and I feel like this is like, all right, we're gonna get right. We're gonna get our stuff back. We're gonna get consistency, and we're just gonna throw up as many points as we can on this team.
Yeah, and the tricky number here, Jimmy, is the over under is at 49, and I'm scared that Penn State's going to back off and wind up winning like 35-7.
Yeah.
and they're not gonna get the 49, but it could be that UCLA scores 2 late touchdowns and they get just over the number. So I'm a little scared of that over-under. If you're looking at over-unders, if you're an over-under guy, I like the Penn State minus 24.5 as well. All right, the next matchup, I've been telling Jimmy for the last 2 weeks. He finally listened to me. Boise State at number 21, Notre Dame, minus 20.5, and the over-under is 62. Huge number for the week. I think it's the second highest. So Notre Dame doesn't stand for no defense. That's right. We've been putting up points on defense, putting up points on offense, and holding the other team to under 22 points a game. So let's talk about it, Jimmy.
Yeah, this Notre Dame offense is insane. Jeremiah Love doing what I said at the beginning when we started talking about this, that I thought he was one of the best running backs coming in this season. He's up there. Ahmad Hardy threw his name in the hat, but I still think Jeremiah Love still the number one back. This Notre Dame offense is probably top 5 in the country, if not like top 3. Their defense still, I'm not sold on it completely yet, but that's part of why the over is the play, because their defense isn't top tier. This Boise State team lost a lot of pieces, lost Ashton Genty, but they still got their quarterback Maddox Madsen, I believe his name is. So he's all right.
Yep.
Not great, but he's not bad either. Should be enough to put some points on the board and keep it within the number. Not really not within the scoring number, but within the over. They'll put some points up, but not enough to. I feel like 20.5 is pretty, or 23.5. What was it? 20.5?
20.5. Yep.
Yeah. I think y'all win by at least 3 touchdowns, but Boise State will probably score like 14 probably. So
yeah,
help out on the numbers.
I feel like this is probably going to be like a 49-20 game, which will get you the number. It's going to be a lot of MMA action with the Notre Dame offense, a lot of ground and pound. You know what I'm saying? So. When we look at this game, obviously Notre Dame is playing at a high level after those 2 losses to Texas A&M and Miami. But again, playing against Purdue, wasn't we knew it wasn't going to be a test. All right. So that being said, last game, big game of the week, right? Number 3, Miami giving up 4.5 at Florida State. The over-under at 54.5. The energy at Doak Campbell Stadium is going to be amazing. You're going to hear the right? You're going to hear all that stuff, right? They just came off of a loss to Virginia. They're ready to go. They're trying to get back to their winning ways. The intensity, it's an ACC championship rivalry game type. Can Miami's offensive line hold back the ferocious Seminoles defensive front? And what do you think, Jimmy?
Yeah, man, this is a big recruiting spot too, and Florida State's playoff picture hopes is on the line too, because if they drop this game, they're totally done for the ACC title game. On one side, Miami's front on both sides has been out of this world this year, and Florida State's defense came out flat against Virginia. So I feel like if they do the same thing, Miami's just going to roll over top of them. This is a normal spot where Mario Cristobal slips up. We saw it last year with the Cam Ward team, where they were in games that they shouldn't have been in. But I just gotta go with the Hurricanes, man. I feel like this is their year to return back to where they were, putting Miami back on the map. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was a close game. Florida State defending the home turf. We saw what they did against Bama. That's a tough place to play. Tommy Castellano is coming off a loss. He's trying to get his swagger back. So we'll have to see how this goes down. But I lean more towards the Canes.
All right, and I'll just give you my point here. I cannot stand Miami. I just as a Notre Dame fan, I can't stand them. But Jimmy, I hate Florida State. Give me Miami big. They're gonna. Oh my God, they're gonna be so sorry they walked into Doak Campbell Stadium and took that spear and threw it right up in the air, and it didn't matter where it landed. I love Miami's game big. Some other games that nobody wants to watch. Air Force at Navy. Navy's 4-0.
Mm,
They're
the
minus
forces.
13 and a half in the game. These military these military games always wind up being closer than you think, but I think Navy's going to win by 20, in my opinion. Another game that I also like this week when we talk about, teams that nobody ever really knows who they are. I mean, who are these teams? Some of them. So one of those teams is Louisiana Monroe. Louisiana
Yeah,
Monroe
ULM.
at Northwestern. Okay, this game is a 3:30 kickoff. Northwestern minus 11 and a half. They're 2-2. Ulamo, as I like to call them, the Warhawks, they are 3-1. Louisiana Monroe plus the points here, ladies and gentlemen. Louisiana Monroe plus the points.
I like that play, to be honest.
All right. And the
Northwestern's
last
something
game, the
special.
third game that I think nobody will ever watch and they don't care about, is a game that well, you got one? Do you have one, Jimmy?
Oh yeah, I got a couple. UAB Army. Army's
Okay.
not very good, so UAB getting the points. I feel like they should probably win that game. And then I'm getting my revenge spot back. I Baylor beats Kansas State. Kansas
Oh,
State last
baby.
week smoked UCF, our underdog pick. So I'm getting my revenge back. Baylor's going to take them to town.
All right. And my last matchup, the game that nobody will ever watch, even though it's on ESPNU, is Texas State taking on Arkansas State. All right. Two teams that are on opposite ends of the spectrum. Texas State is minus 13 and a half, and they play defense, guys. So I'm going to take, not only am I going to take Texas State, but I'm also going to take the highest total of points here. I'm going to take the under as 63 and a half. So I'm taking Texas State minus 13 and a half and the under 63 and a half.
Big plays, big plays. I
Any
like it.
parting words we got here, Jimmy, before we get wrapped up? Yeah,
Nah.
absolutely huge implications here.
I think we got it all out, man. Wahoo wah, come on, who's.
Yeah. All right. So once again, we want to thank our sponsors, mybookie.ag. We also want to thank BetUS and MLB Shop and NFL Shop, MNP College Football Edition. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great week of bets, a great week of college football. We'll see you tomorrow for NFL.
This non-casual podcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without the authorized written consent of the Not Move Podcast Network. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.